to the Brew Bucks podcast. The podcast for the beer-drinking enthusiasts trying to get better with money. Your hosts, Jake and Alec, interview personal finance creators, speakers, authors, real estate experts, and everything in between. There's nothing quite like having a conversation with your friend while sipping on a cold one. If you're looking to learn more about money without all the fluff and BS, you've found your new home. This is the Brew Bucks podcast. Now your hosts, Jacob Wilhite and Alec Miller.
Welcome back to episode number 44 of the Brew Bucks podcast. Sorry we missed last week. Got a lot going on, lots of new things to talk about. Alec, did you want to share something with the audience?
I would love to. Yeah, guys. So I know I've talked about my girlfriend many times on the show. Well, she is finally now my fiance. So she said yes.
Nice.
I was kind of half expecting her to say no. So I'm happy I didn't have to deal with that.
I've got a kind of a bone to pick here because for everyone listening at home, I found out about this. Again, me and Alec, we host a podcast together, right? So you think we're pretty close. I found out through fucking Facebook that Alec got engaged. No text message, not even just like a picture of the ring. And maybe I'm just being selfish here, trying to involve myself in your special day. But I had to be scrolling through Facebook. What? Alec got engaged and didn't say anything about it? Awesome.
It was day of, so you at least found out probably a few hours after. I really was just talking to my family and stuff. Then I was like,
I thought we were family.
I know, right? Sorry, just blood family. But yeah, don't worry. You found out pretty much the same day as everyone. But yeah, I had a lot of people texting me and calling me that day. So
how'd you do it?
Sorry. How'd I do it? I took her out to Point Reyes, a very beautiful lookout point we have near us, about an hour away. We went to the lighthouse. It was a big, recognizable lighthouse. Even been featured in an old horror movie called The Fog by John Carpenter. Kind of why I took her there, because we're big horror nuts. But yeah, I took her there, and I basically had my dad
hiding.
Yeah, before I got there. And he was actually parked when I pulled up. He ducked in the car, and then we started hiking up, and he was probably about 20-30 yards behind us. And even at one point, Celeste went, "Why do you keep looking behind us?" And I had to be like, "Oh, I'm looking at the coastal line." I couldn't say my dad was back there. And I didn't think I was being that obvious, but apparently I was. And then yeah, we get there, and I get down on one knee. Well, actually, first I start trying to be all romantic, telling Celeste how she's my lighthouse, and when I see the light, I know I'm home. Super cheesy. She starts laughing. I get down on one knee. She doesn't. She's like, then she realizes I'm serious, and yeah, she said yes. And then my dad snuck out, was taking photographs of us and everything. So
nice,
fun day.
He got it all recorded.
Yeah, just pictures, no videos or anything like that. But yeah, so he got it. It was pretty cute.
And you're getting married on Friday the 13th
of October. Yeah, that's our. Actually, I think it's set due. We got a place already, so
moving quick.
Engagement celebration, just going for the wedding.
Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, we did. So we did not have much time to do an episode last week, and that is kind of what threw a little wrench in there. I was really busy as well, doing some onboarding and training with the One Brokerage. So
yeah, big news.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the One Brokerage is David Green from Bigger Pockets. That's his mortgage broker company, and so I am now able to help investors, first-time home buyers, all of the alike, purchase homes. So if you're looking to get pre-qualified, if you're trying to figure out, hey, I want to buy a house, how much can I spend, or what are some of the different loan programs, how do they work, we got a lot of really great options, and I would love to help anyone out there looking to buy a home. So
excited to see that Left Coast Finance name growing, doing everything you can.
Well, yeah, it's not my name, but
we'll keep it
under my umbrella.
Yep,
for
exactly.
Sure. What's our question of the day?
Oh, well, I guess I got some questions, since now that I'm engaged. I guess the question will come from me today.
Okay, let's hear it.
Since you're somebody who's been married, what advice to give on keeping in budget with a wedding?
Keeping in budget with the wedding. That's a good one. I would say don't overspend on some of the frilly things. I think there's a lot of stuff that you can do yourself. Like, you don't have to go pay thousands of dollars on flowers. You can go to a local florist and pick out flowers that you like and set it up yourself. That was a way we, saved a lot of money. People making your own centerpieces. We made our table pieces, whatever you want to call them. using any connections that you have. You have connections in the beer industry, so being able to get discounts on beer and wine and things like that. People are going to remember the food. That's a good place to spend some money, is definitely on the food. But get out there and try a lot of different places. Just because they're the most expensive doesn't mean it's going to be the best food. And spend a good chunk on your DJ too. I think that was kind of an area that we splurged a little bit, was on our DJ. But man, he really helped control the flow of the wedding, brought a photo booth, like all that kind of stuff. So really just kind of, I guess, deciding the places that you want to spend the most money, and really trying to limit and do some DIY stuff on the other areas, I think is what helped save our budget a bit.
Yeah. No, I've never once left a wedding and went, damn, those centerpieces, those are beautiful. But I have left wedding and talked about the food. So I appreciate the food comment, because that is a big thing. The last wedding I went to, sorry for listening, but that food sucked.
All right. Well, let's get into this thing. We are bringing back a guest for the first time, which is fun and exciting. Our buddy Mark from Hawaii, and we interviewed him back on episode number 9. And he came back and we just talked shop, or as the Hawaiians say it, talk story. And we talk about the current state of the market. We talk about the idea of frugality. We talk about investing for kids. It was just all around. It was just more of a conversation, not necessarily a strict subject, but more of a catching up and just how things are going in life. So it was a fun one, and love hanging out with Mark. He's a great guy, and I think he provided some great information today. So let's jump into it. Here we go. Mark, welcome back to the Brew Bucks podcast, our first repeat guest, man. For everyone listening, we interviewed Mark back in episode 9 when we were still figuring out how to use a microphone. So nice to have you back, buddy.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back on. It's always a blast talking story with you guys.
Yeah, no, I loved our first interview with you, and I'm very excited to have you back. And I love how I feel like the first time we interviewed you, you had maybe around 7,000 followers or something like that. And I have 120,000 followers, so congrats to that. I'd say you're officially an influencer. And do you know how much an influencer weighs?
Oh my god!
How much does an influencer weigh, Alec?
An Instagram.
Oh my god!
Oh, okay. As a dad, as a father, I give you the thumbs up. That's a certified dad joke there.
I got the dad joke in. We're good.
Way to squeak that in there, Alec.
That's great.
So, Mark, you know how this goes already. Time to talk about what beverage we'll be enjoying today. I believe you brought a big swell on last time. What have you got today? Since you're already a pro, we'll let you go first this time.
Well, considering the fact that it is 9 a.m. here, and I just finished my morning cup of coffee, I went with a dark German-style ale with the toasted coconut, according to the description. It's by Honolulu Beer Works. It's called the Cocoa-Weizen Coconut Hefeweizen. So pretty good, pretty smooth.
Is it super coconutty or like how mild coconutty?
No, I don't really like coconut too much, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I guess it's in there somewhere, but I don't taste it.
No.
Nice. Heck yeah. Alec, I'm dying to know what it is that you have brought today, because it is vibrant blue.
It is very vibrant blue. I don't really like the color of it, but that's okay. I bought a beer today from Tripping Animals. They are located in Doral, Florida. Don't know where that is. And then it's called Family is Our Fortress. It is a 6% ABV beer, and the description is soda-inspired sour ale conditioned with blueberry and lemon. So, and if you can see, it is very blue right now. It does not look like a beer at all.
Disgusting.
The can is super cool. It has like little avatar characters on it, so I guess that's why they made it blue. So this is the beer for avatars, I guess. So let's give it a taste and see how it goes.
Surprised there's no cease and desist for this yet.
Oh man.
That's about the reaction I was expecting.
It tastes almost like a sugary mixed drink. It doesn't even taste like beer. It tastes like, what is that blue drink? An AMF. It almost tastes like a watered down AMF. I'm not for it at all. So I'd say
beer's a die.
You could probably skip it. It's you don't need to try this one.
I don't know why you do this to yourself, but I love it. Okay, today I'm being kind of lame. We were supposed to have 2 podcast interviews today, and so I was like, I'm gonna start off with a really new popular beer that actually a lot of people have been drinking, and it's a non-alcoholic beer. I know, boo, lame. contains less than 0.5% alcohol. It is brewed by Athletic Brewing Company, and it is the Run Wild IPA. On the side of the can, it says, at Athletic Brewing Company, we are pioneering a craft brew revolution. We believe you shouldn't have to sacrifice your ability to be your best to enjoy great brews. So we created our innovative lineup of refreshing non-alcoholic craft brews. 65 calories, obviously 0% ABV, and looks just like a beer. Got the same, well, when I cracked it earlier, had a nice head retention on it, still beautifully carbonated. And is definitely the best NA beer I've ever had, for sure. I know a couple people have tried to do them, but I mean, this tastes just like a regular old IPA without having any, I don't know. No, we are not switching. But go out and try it. You know, I am someone who genuinely just loves the taste of beer. And so sometimes it's nice to be able to like maybe have one beer and then it's like, well, I don't want to feel like crap the next morning. So I'm going to have an NA beer too, just because it's part of like a routine and tastes good. And I don't know. So I think there's a spot in the market for NA beer, and it's actually one of the fastest growing markets in the alcohol sector out there. So
it's gone up a lot. It's pretty incredible how much NA beer is jacked up in the past 3 or 4 years.
Totally. So yeah, guys, cheers.
Cheers.
Boom.
Cheers.
All right, so let's kick this thing off. We have already gotten to know your story, Mark, about growing up a little bit. So I thought it would be fun for maybe a little bit of a refresher, and then maybe an update about how it's been as a new dad, and more importantly, how has this like changed your life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, refresher, just real short. I grew up on the East Coast in that tiny state that no one knows where it is, called Delaware. Um, Pretty cool though. A lot of people think that Delaware is in the middle of nowhere, similar to Kansas, but I was from a little beach town called Bethany Beach. You know, popping off in the summer and nice and quiet in the winter. It was a cool little place to grow up. Had some stuff happen in life, you know, outside of high school where I didn't really know what I was doing. You know, the college route kind of hit a couple speed bumps there, changed course of what I wanted to do with my life. And I just kind of took a break and I moved out to Honolulu, Hawaii in January of 2015. And it was supposed to be a temporary place to kind of gather my thoughts and figure out my life. And it ended up being home. So I've been out here ever since. I was working at a restaurant right in Waikiki Beach called Duke's Waikiki. Huge, awesome, bustling restaurant, always busy. Definitely a place that's cool to hang out. And yeah, I really started making a lot of money there because the money is there to be made. And then I didn't really know what to do with it all. Started investing, found my passion for that, really learning about it. And just, you know, the one thing that I wished after all that was that I learned how to do it sooner, because I've seen how it's changed my life. So that kind of sparked this new passion of starting my finance pages, you know, on different social medias and spreading this newfound knowledge that I've obtained. And I want to help shorten the learning curve for others. And I'm always learning, you know, I don't know it all. I'm still learning. And I feel like, you know, in terms of connecting to a community, that's a very interesting niche that I found myself in, is that there's a lot of people out there that are already millionaires and they're sharing their success with others. But I feel like a lot of people have a hard time seeing how to get from where they are today to the spot that those people are, you know, this ultra successful person. Whereas for me personally, I'm still just your average guy that's going through life. I'm working a 9 to 5 and I've just prioritized investing and it's changed my life for the better. And the more I learn about it, the more passionate I become about it and the more educated and secure I feel with my financial future. So just spreading that knowledge has been my main point of passion. I think April will be 2 years since I started my pages and it's been a blast. It's been one heck of a ride.
Yeah, congratulations on going 2 years. I mean, that's been quite the journey for you, watching you grow from just a few thousand followers to over 100,000 people. So shout out there. And I kind of want to go back to when you mentioned that you wish you'd started sooner. I mean, a lot of us all have that feeling. And that's what I love about a lot of your page too, is that you're an avid teacher of being like, it's not too late. I mean, even when lately the stock market's been doing decent well lately, you're like, see, like if you're afraid of investing back then and you're investing now, you're already too late. But if you just have like you keep doing it every month, and you're always pushing for that, telling people it's not too late. So shout out to that, because I think that's a lot of people do think it's too late, and it's not.
It's never too late. And I also love just that, like, you're talking about the community aspect, and I truly feel like a lot of the messages that you're sending out, again, it's not a like spammy influencer, hey, buy my course, this, that, whatever. It's a, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is some advice I have, and just trying to give back to like the community that's provided you with, a lot of value as well. So I always feel like everything that you post is really genuine, and anyone can kind of take anything from it. So dig it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback, guys. I mean, that's kind of my goal. And, it's kind of funny, you mentioned a course, because I started this out of my passion, like just to spread knowledge. And I wasn't expecting it to grow into what it's grown into and continues to grow into. So now that it has, it's kind of like, I never looked at it as a means of a career choice, I just thought it would be something fun to do in my spare time. But now with the growth, I'm getting so many emails and DMs and comments of, this is all great information. How do I start? I don't know how to do this. What is an index fund? Which one should I buy? All these questions. And it's very hard as a new dad and a full-time employee elsewhere to keep up with all that. I try my best, but I'm actually in the process of writing an ebook now, and I'm going to be getting a course out later in the year, I hope, as well as just other educational resources. So that's my main focus now, is just expanding the resources that I have available to my audience that is seeking that next step of knowledge. So, it was never on my original, like, this is what I'm going to do, but it's just kind of evolved into that because of the demand that I've seen. And I don't have the time to answer everyone or have a coaching call with everyone. So creating these resources that I can create and they're there for people to take advantage of, that's my next big goal for sure.
I love it. And there is such a difference between the people who start it for the money, and the people who, again, you're just doing it because it's a passion and because you truly want to provide value. And when you start with value, and then it's like, okay, well, I literally have to do something like this, otherwise I can't reach all the people I want to reach. That's when it's like, oh, cool, the passion's there, the value's there, and the monetization piece just kind of comes with time, And I think that's kind of the situation you're running into, which is cool.
Yeah.
How's dad life been?
Dad life is amazing, man. There's, I guess the short of it is everything, like every cheesy thing that your parents, grandparents, family members, or friends that are parents say, everything is true. They grow too fast. It's an amazing, rewarding thing. The positives vastly outweigh the negatives. And there's a hidden aspect of it that I don't think a lot of people consider. I think in terms of doing anything that you're passionate about, whether it's getting that promotion at work, whether it's starting a business, whether it's growing, whatever, you need to have a strong why. You hear about that a lot. Like, what's your reason for doing it? That's the only thing. Like, if you don't have a strong enough why, you're not going to stay consistent enough and put in the effort to get it done. And children offer you the most powerful why that you'll ever have. I do everything that I do now with the thought in the back of my head that, hey, I'm doing this for my daughter. Like, I want my daughter to be set up, and I want her to have financial freedom. I want her to have options. I don't want her to have to worry about the cost of college if she wants to go to college. All these things factor in, as well as just, it's hard leaving her to go to work. Like, as she's getting older, she's smart now. She knows when I'm putting on my shoes and my work shirt that I'm about to leave, and she crawls over and she doesn't want me to leave. It's just like, I've never felt more motivated to really seek more time freedom through passive income streams because of this. Like, I want to spend as much time with her at home as possible. So
That's cool.
So, I mean, kind of going on with that, how has your money mindset changed since you've had your child? Are you already investing in like a college fund for her and like other types of savings accounts, or how are you going about that?
yeah, so I mean, I'm sure you guys both know, but for those that don't, I'm a huge advocate of Roth IRAs. It's my favorite investing account by far. So I was going to take that route of starting what's called a custodial Roth IRA, where basically it's a Roth for her that I am going to manage until she's 18, and then she takes full control of the money in there, but it works like an ordinary Roth after that. But there was an interesting change that was made this year in some fiscal policy for investing accounts for children, specifically to the 529 plan, which is one that I didn't really have much interest in because a 529 plan essentially is an investment account, but the proceeds in that account have to be used for school expenses. This can be a wide variety of things, anything that's related to education, not just actual tuition costs. But the change that was made that's kind of changed my mindset about how to invest for her as a whole is that they've made it so that any unused proceeds or funds in a 529 plan that aren't used for education can now be rolled over into a Roth later on, tax and penalty free. So whereas I didn't really care about 529 plans before, I'm starting to do a lot more research into them to see if that's a good option for my daughter because of the fact that that money isn't restricted now to educational costs. It's actually like, hey, it's there, but then you can roll it over into a Roth, which is what I was going to start for her anyway. So definitely going to be digging deeper in there, probably putting out some posts about what I find there soon. But the other thing that I did start her was a UTMA, a UGMA, which is a gift tax for minors is what it stands for. And that is basically money that you can put into an account and it grows on their behalf. And then at 18, they take over and they have access to the funds. But unlike a Roth, they can withdraw the funds. It's going to be like an ordinary brokerage account after that, basically. So if they're willing to pay the taxes on the amount being withdrawn, then they're able to do so. So there's 3 different accounts that you can invest for your children. Right now, the only one I've actually started is the UTMA. And then I'm probably going to be looking at 529 next, given the new rule with the rollover. So
The 529 change is so huge. I was the same way. Like, man, I'm never using the 529. Like, what if all 3 of us are very successful and never went to college? And it's thinking about the future. It's like, okay, well, what if that's my kid? What if they don't want to go to college? What if they want to go to want to do the trades, whatever? And the 529 kind of restricted a lot of that. So being able to open it up and roll it over to an actual usable Roth IRA is super cool. So.
I like when the government does things to help us.
Alec, why aren't you drinking your
On
beer,
the-
dude?
Oh God.
yeah.
Come on, buddy. Oh. All right. So Mark, we got a couple topics for today, but I was thinking we could cover the topic first of automating your finances. What are some of the ways that
Yeah.
you automate your finances, and what are some of the things you recommend when it comes to it?
Man, automating your finances, it's honestly one of the best things you could do in terms of securing your financial stability. I'm not going to say financial freedom, that is an aspect of it, but everyone's situation is different. But at least financial stability and confidence. And automating your finances, there's so many ways to do it. But for the most common average person out there, some of the biggest things that you can do, one thing I'm going to highlight is credit cards. There's so many people buried in credit card debt, and a lot of that is due to misinformation or misunderstanding of how interest on debt works or how that debt balance works. So anytime I've started a credit card, the first thing I do with the account, I go into the account settings and I set it up to be paid off in full every month. And that's not like me actively doing that every month. It's just the little box that you check and then you link it to whatever account you want that money taken out of. For me, it's my checking account. And I've never once paid a penny in interest on any credit card debt that I have, even though I'm gaining the cashback rewards and the point balance rewards for using those credit cards. So having that automatic payoff for credit cards in full for your balance is so crucial because things are already so expensive. The last thing you want is to owe more money in interest just because you borrowed money. So I'd say that's like step number 1. Other than that, though, I mean, automatic investment contributions are another great way to do it, and this can be done in multiple ways. Like If you have a 401k at work, you're already doing it. You might just not even realize it because your funds are automatically being withdrawn from your paycheck before you ever see it. And there's different avenues of that. If it's a traditional 401k, those funds being taken out are actually not taxed. So that's taking it out of your taxable income for that year. Whereas a Roth 401k, it will be taxed, but then you're saving money in taxes later. But either way, a 401k is what most people through their employer have access to. And if you're signed up for it, then boom, there you go. You're automating your finances. You're automating your investment contributions for your future. And you don't have to do anything. And that's my favorite thing about it is like the reason that automation is so powerful is because when it comes to finances and investing in particular, it's all about emotional intelligence and staying consistent. You don't want the fear of recession looming headlines or stock market crash headlines affecting your desire to invest, which a lot of people that self-invest do. It's proven for 100 years now that long-term, consistent dollar cost averaging is just a strategy that is pretty much impossible to go wrong with. It takes all the emotion out of it. So you don't have to think about whether it's the right time to buy because you're going to be buying every time you get paid when you have 401k contributions being taken out. The other thing I do is I max out my Roth every year. Some people who are doing very well financially have asked me, should I just I have the money in my account right now. Should I just take that money and put it into my account? Like the $6,500 is what the max is annually right now. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You can do whatever you want to do. For me, I like to do the same thing as what I was just saying with the dollar cost average strategy. So I have it automatically withdrawn from my checkings. I did 6,500 divided by 12, and that amount every month is withdrawn into my Roth. And then from there, it's automatically invested into my index fund. So automation is everything. I mean, it really, really simplifies everything.
Wasn't it so nice when it was just a clean, easy $500 a month to max
Yeah.
out your Roth IRA, and now it's like what is it, like $533?
It's
I
like,
don't know.
Yeah, it's something, yeah. I'm irrationally bothered by that, but hey, I'll take the extra 500s in contribution. The one thing that I did leave out, that seems very obvious to most of us, but there are people out there that it's not, is automating your bill payments. I mean, if you have car insurance, I know people that, they have it linked to their debit account or their checking account to automatically be withdrawn. And then when the funds are running low in that account, you face the risk of overdraft fees and everything else. And it's very hard when you have 10 different bills all on different days, just coming out of your checking account randomly when you don't have that much balance in there. Put it all on your credit card and then set up that automatic credit card payment that we were talking about. There you go. It's one time a month that you're going to be making that payment and all your bills are in there. So you don't have to worry about overdraft fees. You know that one date and then you can see your balance. You can see how much is going to be taken out and you can look at your checking account and make sure that that amount of money is there so that you don't have an overdraft issue. Plus, on top of that, if you're paying your bills through a routing number in your checking account, you're not getting anything in return for that other than your bills getting paid. You're not getting cash back or points rewards through credit cards that they offer. So I'm a huge advocate of that. I mean, for me, I'm pretty bad with points cards. I tried them in the past. I know that there's some travel hackers out there that are amazing with points. Like they just take full advantage and travel for so cheap and, kudos to them. That's not me. I just find the highest cash back amount that I can get and it just gets put right back and that cash back helps me pay off the debt that I've acquired. So
I dig it. We do have a couple travel hacking episodes for anyone interested in looking back. I think we did one with Ryan from Profit and Points, and then one with Julia from GeoBreeze Travel too. So both
Ryan
great
is
people.
next level.
Yeah,
Ryan is always he's always amazing me with what he's able to do with his credit card points, man.
Totally.
It seems like something every day he's posting that I'm just like, how do you even find out about this stuff? I mean, it's just like you can do every day. I know he's gaining points on something random.
Yeah, totally. I like what you said about treating investing like a bill too. I think if people would just again set the $500 a month automatic investment and just never touch it ever again and just let it do its thing, So many people would end up very, very rich. And a lot of times people do it themselves, and then the market crashes, and then they're like, oh man, the market's going down, I'm going to stop investing. And it's like, that's when you need to be buying the most. Like, please stop. And again, like you said earlier, that's kind of when emotions get into it, and people screw themselves. So
I know, it's like it's been pretty wild watching the stock market the past few months. I mean, past month just go back up, and I'm like, all those people that were scared and stopped investing, it sucks for them.
yeah, unfortunate.
And what I really liked, though, I think the most of what you said was kind of putting on your credit cards too, because I like how you try to make it that one single payment. When I agree, I hate getting things pulled directly on my bank account. I have like one, I think my Hulu for whatever reason gets pulled on my bank account because it's through PayPal. I don't know why, but it's this weird thing, and it drives me nuts just seeing this one random thing every month. And I like how you're right, when it's like 5 or 6 things you can put on your bank account, you are so much higher likely to
All on different days and stuff. Yeah,
to
it's nice
get
having
an
one
over
payment.
withdrawal or something. I
Yeah.
mean, it's when I have everything on my credit cards, like you said, pretty much, and I know when I'm paying those credit cards off, and that they're all going to get pulled off on days when I have money. So
For sure.
cool. And I'd say next up, do you have any kind of resources that you use to track your finances? I mean, I'm sure you like to keep things simple. So what do you use to keep things simple with your finances?
Yeah, I mean, I have a very simple budget, monthly budget spreadsheet just in my numbers app on my Mac. I mean, it's very easy. It's like, it's not like some people that are starting from scratch and they need to build a budget and they don't know. I mean, yeah, those budget Excel sheets that you can find online for like either free or like $5, they're so worth it. They make it so easy. For me, I just kind of real simple. I think it was a template, actually, a budget template, and you click and you type in what the actual cost, what's costing you the money. You type in the money, and then it does all the sum figure for you. It's super easy. But for me, like honestly, budgeting has never been like I'm very different than most, to where budgeting has never been for me like something that I need to look at a spreadsheet every week to know that I'm sticking to my budget. Like for me, budgeting has been more so every purchase. I have this little voice inside my head that's like, do you want this or do you need this? How much is it? It's like every time I think about purchasing something that's not paying a bill, I'm having that internal conversation. And if it's more costly of a purchase that I decide to make, I go and review the budget, and I like to see adding that in where I'm going to be at the end of the month. But you know, transparently, I don't really spend much time on my budget because I feel like it's all up here for the most part. And with the automated finances that we were just talking about, I know that you know automation makes it so that I don't really like any money I have left over in my budget is either spending money or meant to be invested more. Like it's not really like I'm drowning in my bills and I need to start cutting expenses. I did that years ago. So but in terms of tracking my investments, that's a little bit more hands-on for me, because I have crypto allocation and I have my 401k through work. I have my Fidelity account, which holds my Roth IRA and my individual brokerage and my daughter's UTMA. So I have like all these different accounts, and it's nice in numbers that I was able to build a portfolio and combine all of those things. So I actually have this spreadsheet that has every asset that I own, including cash, and it's just right there, nice and neat. It changes once every day. At the end of the day, it changes and reallocates, based off of what the stocks did, what Bitcoin did, whatever else I'm holding did that day, and it makes it real clean and easy to see this is how much money that I have. And the last one that people, this is an unpopular opinion, especially from a finance influencer, quote unquote, but I don't track my net worth because I just keep a loose figure in my head. I don't care is why, like I know I'm still very young and I have a long way to go to get to my goal. And I'm just going to focus on how I'm going to get there. I know some people, when I get older, I'm sure I'll track it a little bit more closely to see how close to my goal that I'm getting. But my portfolio tracker that I just mentioned is kind of my net worth tracker at the same time, because I don't own a home. My car is paid off in cash. Like I'm not the type of person that needs the ego boost to count my car value, my home value, if I own a home. Like, I'm not putting all that into my net worth. I'm like, what amount of money do I have that's working for me? And that's all I care about. So if it's a rental real estate property in the future, yeah, I'm going to count that towards my net worth because it's a cash flowing asset. But if I buy a home to live in, we'll see.
I like that you don't look at that whole net worth number, because I think you're doing all the small steps that lead to that net worth number. And as long as you're doing all those small steps, you don't really need to worry about that big number because you know you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, totally. I dig it. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Why don't we kind of talk about the current state of the market and maybe where you think it's heading? I know a lot of people are kind of still running around like Chicken Little thinking the sky's falling. But yeah, we continue to see inflation shrinking, like great job reports, strong GDP. What are kind of some of your thoughts about where we are and where we're going?
Yeah, I mean, I talk at work a lot. I know a lot of people at work follow my finance pages. They know it's big passion of mine, so they like to pick my brain about the market and these interesting talks, and they lead to so much different ways of thinking about it. But one thing that I really hit home on, I have one guy that's very educated I talk to every day. He's always, what do you think about this? Like, aren't you worried about this? Aren't you worried about that? And I kind of just broke it down. I was like, man, here's the thing. Like, as long as the market is going up, it doesn't matter why it's going up, because the further up it goes, the harder it is for it to come back down to where it was. I think in October of last year, we made the lows of the year. I think the S&P 500 was down 26% off its high. The NASDAQ was 35% off its high. And the state of the market is like, yes, news factors in and people pay attention to headlines and emotions get involved. But at the end of the day, like, the higher it goes, like, a lot of people are calling this a bear market rally, which for those that don't know, that's very typical throughout, long bear markets, is you'll see rallies of 10, 15, 20% to the upside just before it reverses and we make new lows. So it's an interesting situation. There's a lot of headwinds ahead still. The biggest is probably, as of right now, is this debt ceiling that the US is facing. I mean, COVID really put us in a jam, and that's why we're seeing inflation at record high numbers and the debt ceiling rising, is because, we had to print so much money in such a short time to keep our economies afloat. And I think a lot of people look at that as this giant negative, which it is. In a lot of ways it is, and it could have repercussions. But I think one thing that people aren't taking into account is the fact that it wasn't just one country that did that. It was the whole world. It was a global pandemic. So even though this causes like major macroeconomic issues that need to be taken seriously, I think it's different. Like, if this just happened in the US, I'd be very concerned about US equities, but it didn't. It happened everywhere. And if you look at global inflation numbers, yeah, things are expensive as crap in the United States right now, but comparing it to around the world, we're doing pretty good. We're like on the lower end of inflationary pressure. Like, there's countries that saw 150% year over year inflation. That's insanity. That's, like, that is like craziness. So, without going on for too long, market sentiment, there's always going to be a fear-mongering bear who tells you all the reasons you need to sell and why the stock market's going to crash. Just look at a 100-year chart. There's always a new reason to crash, and it always comes back. And what I tell people is, like, if the market truly fails and it doesn't come back, it just crashes like it did in 1920s, and it just doesn't come back, you're not going to be worried about your money or your retirement funds. You're going to be worried about how many guns and bullets you have. Like, that's just the truth, Like, it's just silly to me that people have this outlook of like, well, I don't want to invest because it's going to crash and never come back. It's like, well, then the world's probably going to be in pretty bad shape. I hope you have a doomsday bunker. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like, but the what if it doesn't, which is what history has proven, is that it will always come back. Those people that are justifying not investing because of that thought process are going to be the ones suffering down the road. So
100%. Do you think 20 years from now we're still going to be worried about COVID? I freaking hope not, you know.
COVID 9.0.
Or even, I mean, just a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now, like inflation and all these shenanigans. I think, again, 20 years from now, which is a pretty decent, you know, time horizon. I think we're going to be looking back and just excited that we continued to stay the course, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we'll see.
and the other thing worth mentioning is just like the people worried about a crash are the ones that don't have a consistent investing strategy because they're worried about a crash. The ones who are long-term investors and they know that no matter what happens, I'm not going to stop investing. I'm not going to stop prioritizing investing. I'm not going to stop allocating funds to investing. It's not going to stop me. And because of that, I don't care how low it goes. The lower it goes, the more I'm getting for that same amount of money that I'm contributing every month. Like I don't care. And to me, that consistent strategy is what gives me the confidence to keep going and to know that it's going to be fine. Because it's like, I don't care if it takes 10 years to recover because I'm going to be accumulating more that whole time at lower costs. And then when that 10 years is up and it goes up, I'm gonna be looking pretty good. I mean, I'm gonna be feeling good. I'm gonna be looking good. Um, but this recent rally to the upside is just another perfect example of why timing the market just doesn't work because the market's already 10, 15% off of the lows by the time people are really starting to question whether it's the time to start buying again. And they've already missed half of the recovery at that point, which some people don't care. That's fine. You don't have to. But, like it's just it seems silly to me to constantly worry about a market collapse when you look at hundreds of years of history in the market and it hasn't happened. So
Yeah, it's hard to argue with. And I think that's why so many people are drawn to your page too, is you do kind of like keep it simple for them. When you talk about the past 100 years, you're making it known that COVID was a worldwide phenomenon. It wasn't just in the United States. And I don't know, you do a great job encouraging people to like stay the course even when things aren't looking great.
I agree. So let's
yeah,
make
I appreciate that.
yeah. So let's do another little I guess hard transition here. Next kind of thing I wanted to touch on that I know you're pretty passionate about is just some of your thoughts on like the word frugal and what the word means to you and where you think some people kind of misinterpret it.
Yeah. I mean, frugal to me is just like above all else, it's delaying gratification. Like people that's people's biggest financial challenge is the inability to delay gratification. And what I mean by that is it's like, why do I have so much money every month to invest despite the fact that I am far from a six-figure salary? I have a daughter now that I support. I live in Hawaii, one of the most expensive places in the country. So the answer is frugality. And it's because it's very simple for me to be happy, especially here in Hawaii. Like all my hobbies are free. Surfing is free, hiking is free, going to the beach with my family is free. Like these things don't cost money, which is a huge benefit. And I think it in a lot of ways offsets the cost of living. Um, but in terms of being frugal, it's just like I am perfectly fine driving my 2007 Kia. Like it is ugly. It has crank windows. It is not an attractive car. People see me in that car and there is judgment. Half the time it has bird poop all over it. But you know what? I don't care because it works great. It gets great gas mileage. The fact that it's older and not worth that much is makes insurance very cheap. I think my insurance is like $58 a month. I mean, it's like things like that. I just read that the average new car payment in America right now is now up to $774 a month. That's
So
insanity.
mind-blowing. It's crazy.
That's insanity, man. And then people when they talk about it, it's like, well, I don't want to drive a beater vehicle because it breaks down and then I got to pay hundreds of dollars to fix it. It's like I don't know many mechanical issues that cost more than $774 to fix, or say it's double that, say it's $1,500. It's like that's 2 months of your new car payment that just kept your little beater vehicle that's paid off going long. So things like that in terms of living frugal, like that's the biggest one I hit on is the new car versus the used car. And I understand the used car market has gotten a lot more expensive and you probably can't find something for as cheap as you could have 2 years ago. It's still cheaper than a new car. Still. And I think it's funny when people prioritize having a brand new car every 2 years, or if they're leasing their vehicle or whatever, and then they wanna tell me, "I don't have enough money to invest, that's unrealistic." It's like, well, you gotta look at your choices a little bit. I'm sorry, but,
Mhm.
you know,
100%.
so
A lot of people making bad choices. It's like when they're complaining about money and they're wearing Lululemon pants. I'm just like, don't even complain about money right now because you're wearing $90 pants. So it's. I mean, I think it's. I love how you mentioned delaying gratification. When I think we live in the generation that grew up on TikTok and the internet and Amazon, and we all have instant gratification. If we want something, we pick up our phone and order and stuff. So, what would you say like is the most challenging point in like when you are coaching these people, like trying to teach them delaying gratification? I mean, I know you just brought up some points, but it's just, I'm sure you get people that message you going, I don't see my numbers going up quick enough. I feel like it's not working. I mean, how do you go about coaching those type of people? And what's like the biggest challenge?
I think one of the biggest things that I preach on my page and my content and talking to people is really an emphasis on money mindset, because I feel like financial stability and investing education and all these things starts with changing your mindset around money. And for half the people out there, they don't understand money. They don't even know what inflation is. They don't understand that saving their money is losing value, you know? So understanding money is step one, but for those people, the other 50% of people, I really hit on like you need to evaluate your spending more closely because it's hard to tell someone to be more frugal when they view, you know, for instance, those $90 Lululemon pants as a necessity. And there are people that view it as a necessity. Um, which is fine. You know, that's fine if you want to do that, if it makes you happy. Same thing with a new car. If you love your vehicle and it makes you happy, it brings you joy, that is fine. But you have to connect the dots. Like you know, I hate to say it this way, but it's kind of the truth. I get very tired of hearing people tell me that what I'm teaching and what I'm saying is unrealistic when I'm living proof that it's very realistic. I do it every month for me and my family, and it's because of the choices that I make. So people have these half solutions, a lot of people where they say it's unrealistic and they want to complain, but then they're still viewing, you know, these expensive monthly costs or these purchases of athletic wear or whatever it may be. They view that as an essential spending need when it's not. Like, if you want to spend it, that's fine, but own up to your choice that you want to spend it. You don't need to spend it. And that's the biggest misconnect that a lot of people have is they want to stay victims of their own circumstance and they want to complain about the situation without taking accountability for their own actions. You need to understand that, hey, if you don't need that, that doesn't mean that you don't need to buy it or that you can't buy it. You can still buy it, but you need to understand that's a choice. You're spending your money on something you don't need. That is a choice that you are making. That is not the world getting more expensive and putting you out of options. That's you making daily choices that's affecting your financial stability. And I think the more that people understand that fact, the more they are able to come around to this new way of thinking. You know, like for me, the biggest change was starting small. Like when I started investing, it was very little amounts, but seeing that money make money and go up in value without me doing anything. You know, I just wake up in the morning and it's worth more. And then seeing that first dividend get paid out, that changed my mindset on investing. It changed my mindset on money. I became passionate about putting as much money to work as I could, which made me become less, you know, desirable for all these expensive things that I don't necessarily need. I would rather invest the money because I understand how investing works. And I think it's really just that mindset shift that can help so many people.
Mic drop.
Yeah, for real. I, I can't agree with you more about the piece where it's like when you start investing, you start small, especially as your income goes up, because I feel like traditionally when people's income goes up, they want to spend more money, they want to add another bill, buy another car, whatever. But when you've already started to build that muscle of investing and then you go get a raise and you start making more money, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, cool, now I can invest more money, not, oh, let me go buy a new car. So I like what you said there. I also want to identify the difference between being cheap and being frugal. Being frugal is all the things that you're talking about. It is not going out to dinner and not tipping your waitress. And that is a great example of being cheap that people need to make sure they're not getting confused about.
Yeah, and I made that post and I wasn't expecting it to do what it did. That was just insight from, somebody who's money minded, but also worked for years in the service industry. But the comments on that were just insane to see, not just that people didn't agree, but how passionate they were against tipping, I just
Crazy.
need to say this for all those that think that way. You're entitled to your opinion, right? But the biggest thing I was hearing was it's up to the employer to pay their employees a responsible, livable wage. There's two things that you need to understand about this. Number one is the second they start doing that, the cost of going out to eat goes up by 50%. It's going to go up a lot because they have to come up with that extra money somewhere. So the money that you're not like the money that you would be spending on a tip is now money that you're going to be spending on the bill because the tip's just going to be included in the wages that they need to operate. Number two is just because you think that way and you think it's wrong that the restaurants don't pay their employees more than minimum wage or whatever, and they rely on tips to make a living, just because that's your opinion doesn't change the fact that that's how it works in the United States.
Yep.
Your tip is not included. And if you don't tip your server, they basically just paid to serve you because they still have to tip out the other staff. So you basically just came in, got waited on, and when you don't leave anything, they pay money from the amount of money that you spent to tip out other people, even though you didn't tip them. So it's kind of like, yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, but it doesn't change the fact that that's the structure in place. And the only person you're hurting by stiffing them isn't the restaurant. It's not the industry. It's that individual server. So,
yep, 100%.
Dig it.
Gosh. Yeah,
Tip
I
your
can't
service
stand
people. Come on.
non-tippers. It's just, see, I want to be wealthy enough that I have all this extra cash. So I can just leave like $100, $200 tips at random for people that I know are going to freak out with it.
I love it.
All right. And then I guess just we went over a lot with this episode, but any last minute tips before our lightning round?
last minute tips is I want to go back and just add one thing. You asked me about the state of the stock market.
Yeah.
It's great seeing the positive momentum. It's great seeing inflation coming down. Again, though, there's still a lot of headwinds. And I just want like my personal thesis, and again, it's just a theory, but I think that the next 2 years are going to be choppy. We're going to see a giant trading range of, on the S&P, it could be between 3,500 and 4,200. I mean, that's a 700-point range. That's a huge percentage of ups and downs. But I think it's going to be choppy. I think we have a lot of news and data that's going to keep coming out that needs to be digested. The other thing that I really want people that are following closely to pay attention to is number one, credit card debt balances are back at record highs. That's concerning to me because this inflation or not inflation, this consumer spending being built on the back of credit card debt, that's not sustainable and it's going to cause issues. What the issues will be and what effects they'll have is to be determined, but keeping a close eye on that, as well as this student loan forgiveness bill that's stuck in the court system. I don't think that's going to happen, guys.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
sorry to
depend on
say
that.
it. I know a lot of people are banking on that, but that's what worries me is a lot of people are banking on that. And a lot of people have gotten used to the amount of money they have when they don't owe that monthly payment because that got paused back in 2020. That's going to come back at some point this year in one way or another. And there's going to be a lot of people that are already struggling to pay their bills that now have that extra bill added on. So that could cause some headwinds too. We are a consumer-based economy, and if people aren't spending as much money, it's going to cause some problems. But all in all, just if you're an investor, consistency over everything. Stop trying to time it. If you're trying to invest for long-term wealth accumulation, then do that and do it consistently. Don't do it when we're 15% off the lows, but then get scared when we're back at the lows and then do it again. You're going to just cheat yourself out of so much money. So
I think that's
100%.
great advice, especially on the student loans. I don't think it's going to pass either. And it's just keep going with it, guys. Get that paid off. I know it's a lot, but get it paid off.
Yeah.
yeah, prepare for that payment to come back though. Cause I want to, man, I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's June or July. If they don't have the court system thing figured out, it's supposed to automatically come back. And I don't see any reason for the federal government to suspend those payments any longer. They've already suspended them 6 extra times. So
Yeah. Agreed.
Cool.
Right on. Let's do this lightning round, huh?
All right.
So, Mark, you've already been through one lightning round, so we're gonna throw some new ones your way. So, Alec, I know these questions are new to you.
I know I have to read them. All right. All right, Mark. What has been the hardest part about being a new dad?
for us, it's doing it on our own. Being in Hawaii has been an amazing move for me and my girlfriend, and it's an amazing place to live. But we don't have any family out here to help. And when they say it takes a village, it takes a village. Like even just having someone who can come over once a week for an hour, just giving you that hour break to either catch up on work or just kick your feet up and relax and have a moment, read a book, whatever. So doing it just us has been very challenging. We have family that flies out and helps, but that and the lack of sleep. Every baby's different, but our little girl, as amazing as she is, does not like to sleep through the night. So
I feel that, man. What is your favorite place to eat on the island?
ooh, okay. I'm a breakfast guy. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. I would rather go out to eat for a good breakfast than a good dinner any day of the week. Some people think that's crazy, but my favorite spot on the island has got to be this little cafe that my buddy owns. It is called Sweeties. It's right down the road from where I live, and they do breakfast and lunch. Just bring your own alcohol if you want. So that's really cool.
Oh,
But just an awesome little spot. A lot of local grinds there, but also just like real simple, basic stuff that you see on the menu. You're like, oh, I'm gonna get that, and then you eat it. And it's the best thing you ever had. So, got to give a shout out to Sweeties there.
cool.
I need to check that out. Even though I don't live there, someday if I go over there. All right. What is your favorite stock, ETF, or index fund? It's kind of a loaded question. One of each.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite index fund. I like the S&P 500. If I were recommending other people, like I have knowledge and that's helped me be very, very confident in S&P 500. If you're trying to get more diversified, then I recommend the total market for the average person, but I'm tried and true S&P 500. So VOO or SPY or whatever index fund you want to buy. But those are the ETF versions, not the mutual fund. You can look up the mutual funds. ETF. I'm gonna circle. No,
It's
actually, I'm
gotta
not.
be ARK, right? Okay.
I do like Kathy Wood. I like her thesis. I do not like that 0.75 expense ratio that will completely steal tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars from people investing in that fund for the long term in expense fees. I think my favorite ETF is probably something called FTech. It's a Fidelity ETF. It's a technology based fund. But the reason that I love it so much is because the technology inside of it is, giant companies like Apple, Microsoft, all these companies that are in the technology index, but it has just as low an expense ratio as an S&P 500 fund. So it's a 0.004% expense ratio, or I'm sorry, a 0.04% expense ratio, which is extremely low. And you're essentially getting an extra 5 to 6 percentage point annual return on that. So it is highly technology based, so more volatile with the market, downturns, but it's a great ETF to look at if you're looking for some technology allocation in a diversified way. Favorite stock? I've gone a couple different routes with this. I can't choose, so I'm going to give you two. I'm sorry, but Apple, yes, I work there. This is not based on insider information, but I've been a long-term Apple investor for so long, and working there and seeing how the business is run just gives me even more confidence in my money being parked there. I just don't doubt the ability of Apple to keep innovating with new products, new services, and whenever they do make something, they just are so passionate about making it perfect. So I love Apple. I don't plan on ever selling my Apple, and I'm just going to keep accumulating through my stock purchases at work. So stoked on that. Home Depot is my other one. Just a great run company. It's not going anywhere. There's always houses being built. There's always renovations happening. A huge percentage of their sales comes from landscaping and stuff like that. So just a great market. I was buying it throughout the downturn with over a 3% yield on cost. So just the yield is great. The growing dividend is one of the best in the entire market. I mean, it's an amazing stock in my opinion.
Cool.
I've never been in a Home Depot that wasn't packed. So
Yeah, trying to park at Home Depot,
yeah.
especially here in Santa Rosa, is such a nightmare.
Yeah, their balance sheet and leadership is just great too, you know. But if you want to see one main reason, like I want to say like $10,000 invested in Home Depot 10 years ago is like I think it's like $265,000 now or something like that with dividends reinvested. So it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's
You
awesome.
just have to hope Amazon never starts shipping wood to people because then Home Depot's done.
Oh my God. All right, last one. I know you already said you love your car right now, but if you could wake up tomorrow and have a different car, what would it be?
Hmm,
Free of charge.
man,
Yeah, no car
you
payment, no
asked
nothing.
me if you asked me this question before I was a dad, I would have a completely different answer. But honestly, I gotta say the most random answer in the world, but I think it would be like a Honda CRV. Like I love Hondas. My Civic that I had on the East Coast was like the best car I ever had. They're great on gas. They last forever. And the CRV is just like the perfect size. You know, you can fit so much in there. It's got a roof rack, but it's still small enough to where it's not a gas guzzler. And they're just nice. I mean, they're affordable. I know you said cost isn't a factor, but I don't know. I really like CRVs now for some reason. Easier to get the car seat in there, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Didn't expect
Great
that. I
island
like
car.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. Sweet, man.
All right, and I guess one more time, where can people find you at?
Yeah, so Instagram, I'm at LTI Capital.finance. Twitter, LTI underscore finance. Really starting to build on Twitter now. It's a great place to network and meet people, and I find myself learning a lot like every day on there. So been really focusing on branching out to there as well. Again, going to be working on this ebook, releasing that soon. Going to be putting out a course soon that hopefully can help people learn, like a video tutorial type of thing. I've got a lot of requests for that. So it's very challenging to find the time to doing all this, but I mean, the amount of people that give me positive feedback that I'm helping, it makes it so worth it. So
Absolutely. What's the ebook going to be about?
it's going to be like an intro to investing guide, just a step-by-step process. A little bit in the beginning, you know, I'm about halfway done right now. The beginning is just about a lot of the stuff we talked about today, you know, just understanding money and why you should be investing, as well as the steps that need to be taken before investing. So paying off debt, getting that emergency fund, those sorts of things. And then I'm really gonna focus on the investing aspect around index funds, just because for the average person, it's the easiest and least stressful way to invest. So really just an A to Z guide for people to start. Because I feel like if you start with index funds, even if you end up being passionate about it and you love stocks and you learn how to read a balance sheet, you still are gonna see, you know, you're gonna find that passion out of watching your money grow through an index fund. So
Totally. I dig it, man. Well, thanks again for coming on and hanging out with us one more time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Second time's the charm.
yeah, no, thank you guys so much for having me. Happy to see the podcast is going strong. You guys are doing awesome. It's been great.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it, Mark.
Alec,
Right.
I'm impressed that you've gotten through that beer, by the way.
I know. I've drank like half of it or so. It's
your
almost there.
teeth, your lips, and your
Is my
tongue are all
it's
blue.
Yeah, it is. Oh my gosh. I had a feeling I was going to do that. I'm like, I go to work today. They'd be like, what were you doing? Eating Lucky Charms.
Blowing a Smurf.
God.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, Alec, our buddy Mark came back on. What did you think of our little update about Mark and how life's going, all that good stuff?
Dude, well, return of the Mark, that's for sure. He came back strong, and I just love how he keeps things so simple and just very blunt. He doesn't try to hold back, and he has like a very straightforward answer to everything, especially when he's going back and he's kind of talking about how like we are in the world of instant gratification and you kind of need delayed gratification. I think that's something that people don't really talk about enough. They kind of do, but they don't. And just the difference between needs and wants, he's so important on that. And plus he's a dad now, and how he's been adapting to changing his money mindset, coping with having a child who is taking away a lot of his sleep. It's his third full-time job, it sounds like, after working for Apple and working on full-time on Instagram and everything. I mean, he's a busy guy, but he's still going at his own pace. He's doing things right, and he's out there trying to teach everybody. So
yeah, he does keep things very simple and very blunt. I like I think that it just brings this vibe of just genuineness and again, just kind of that like Hawaiian, like laid back, like, hey, this is how it is, this is how I do it, it's easy, you can do it too, follow along, that's the Mark vibe right there. But yeah, it was fun having our first repeat guest on the show. And yeah, I think he's again out there like he's had so much growth recently because he is just again providing so much value out there. When you do things and provide value first, not looking for monetization, compensation, all that kind of stuff, and you just go out there, you put your stuff out there and provide value, people are going to start to follow. And I think that's like a prime example of what's going on with Mark right now. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, and it's pretty crazy seeing how when we first interviewed him, how he just had a few thousand followers. Now he has over 100,000 followers, but he's kept that same model the entire time, kept exactly how he's been going. Like, he's not trying to monetize it and make money off it. I mean, he kind of is a little bit, but it's not like how these other people start with that. He didn't start with that, and he's kept that true after all this time.
Consistency is key.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Mark, happy to have you back. Maybe we'll have you back a third time someday, and that'll be pretty cool. So
yeah, maybe we'll have to see.
Yep.
All right, ready?
I think I'm ready.
All right. Once again, thanks for listening to the Brew Bucks podcast. My name is Jacob.
And I'm Alec.
Signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Brew Bucks podcast. Produced by your favorite financial coaching company, Left Coast Finance. If you're looking for help building a personal financial roadmap, or you just want to talk about great beer, and who doesn't, head over to leftcoastfinance.com.